Like
No,
that,
no,
you're
no.
not.
This
Wait,
is
wait,
like
wait, this is this is you know this is
hold on,
post hoc
Vaush,
reasoning, right? It's
because
like
I
what?
think
Wait. You're saying sorry. You're saying mutually exclusive things. Okay.
like there's
It's just funny
thousands of
that
studies.
earlier you disregarded a
Hold
meta
on,
analysis I
please.
provided you because they might be cherry picking data when afterwards you engaged in it into like the most aggressive
Because this
degree.
was hello, Vaush.
Hello, hit me up. You are an anti-feminist.
Yeah, so I generally disagree with the academic conception of feminism. The concept of equality for the sexes, I would definitely be fine with, but I more disagree with the descriptive claim of feminism, which is typically that like women are currently like comparatively speaking disadvantaged to men. That's generally an issue I tend to disagree with.
All right, that makes sense. What leads you to disagree with the general assertion that women are disadvantaged?
Overall, I think men face many disadvantages as well, just like women do.
Mhm.
And I don't think one necessarily outweighs the other.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of how to approach this exactly. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
generally speaking, when people talk about the disadvantages experienced by women and about feminism
Mm-hmm.
and about ways to ameliorate those disadvantages, they're usually
Yeah.
doing so in the context of a specific range of issues. Um,
Yeah.
Now, if someone were to make the blanket claim, women are more oppressed than men, let's
Yeah.
say in America, because there are countries where it is indisputably the case that
Yeah.
women, yeah, they literally have fewer legal rights. But let's say in America,
Yeah.
usually when a person speaks of that, they're talking about like abstract social roles or gendered expectations more so than they are relative demographic performance in the economy these days. It's usually a broader conversation about the roles women are expected to play. So if we're looking to have a conversation on who's more oppressed, it's not really a numbers game. It's more about
Yeah.
in society, broadly speaking, who do we give the freedom to live their life out more to? And I think you can make a very strong argument that generally speaking, men are the ones granted that freedom more so than women.
Yeah. So, like, as far as the topic of like broader social rules, I would definitely agree that there are certain things where women have, social rules that they are expected to conform to. I would arguably say the same thing is true for men, right?
Mhm.
Feminism, like, for the most part, came to liberate women from gender roles. So, I feel like, in some sense, one could argue that women have more free gender roles. I'm not necessarily making that assertion, but generally speaking, we haven't even had anywhere near close a movement to like liberate men specifically from gender roles, which is why
Well, the argument would be
like
that feminism has to an extent, right? That over the past 50
yeah,
years we've
specifically women's liberation though. That's the problem. I feel like we would need an alternate movement. If we were to say that feminism is good because it liberates women, then we would have to argue that we would need a similar movement for men to liberate them from gender roles.
well, doesn't feminism do that pretty well?
No, because it's specifically like maybe this is more second wave feminism, but it's specifically liberated women from those gender roles. And the idea that specifically, like for instance, like as far as just a strictly academic form of feminism, which says that women face more disadvantages than men, that it would be harmful. You would kind of be unable to like get men and women on equal footing if you are founded on that assertion, and if that assumption is false. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but nowadays, third wave feminism is the one which is most predominantly represented in academia, with its claims of intersectionality being the way forward. And I think that anybody who takes intersectionality seriously would agree with the statement that the only way you could truly liberate women is by doing the same for men. You can't really have a society where you free one half of the population from a binary of expectations while leaving the other half untouched.
Right, but what I'm more specifically saying is that if we don't recognize specifically the issues that men face, and we just say, "Oh, women face more issues than men," or something like that, and women have less freedom than men, then we will be unable to liberate them from the gender roles because we're not able to specifically address the issues that men face if we don't recognize the majority of them.
Well, I think most feminists recognize the basic issues that plague men, certainly better than men's rights advocates do. I mean, if you're talking about stuff like the expectation that men have to be emotionally hardy, they can't sympathize or relate to others, they have difficulty forming friendships, these boil back into concepts surrounding the term toxic masculinity. The issue is men hate the term toxic masculinity, and men's advocates tend to especially despise it. And I think in part because of some willful ignorance of the term. Like they think it means masculinity is bad or something like that. But these terms were coined by feminists, and they describe problems that bind men. No?
Right, but if we're going by that definition of toxic masculinity, then I would accept that.
I
Yeah.
generally think that the disadvantages that men experience are a blowback from the expectations that were placed on women combined with modernity. A lot of this like gender imbalance, this set of imbalanced social expectations, they made more sense and they were more socially cohesive a century ago or 2 centuries ago. But as
Could
we've
you be a
moved
little
on,
more specific?
I'm sorry.
Could you kind of like repeat that again? Like,
Sure. The expectation that women are juvenile, that women are the child rearers, and that men are the providers made a lot more sense back when we had a society and an economy that were completely oriented around that set of ideas. Back when that was the case, like for example, a very stable type of like sort of gender relationship in the feudal societies would have been the ones experienced by farmers or villagers. You know, that was a very stable system. It lasted hundreds and hundreds of years, with minor variances between different feudal cultures, but the general tendencies remained fairly the same. Women would house care, women would do the child rearing, women would bake, women would do the trade, and then men would toe the fields, men would go off to war. And I don't agree with those systems. I think they're unethical, but they were stable. And what we see right now is we have a bunch of leftover social roles from antiquated 100, 200-year-old gender expectations being mixed with a modern and relatively egalitarian set of underlying social values. And I think that conflict is the reason why we're having so much trouble right now.
Would you kind of agree that it would be kind of similar, like for men specifically, like issues that men specifically face as a result of antiquated social rules from more over 100 years ago?
You mean like them being the sole breadwinner?
Like going off to war and die, like disposable, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day, the reason why, so the origins of men going to war had nothing to do with male disposability. The reason why it used to be men going to war is because realistically, if you're fighting a war, you want men holding the pikes and the swords and the shields and the crossbows. Not as many women. Back in the day, you know, we didn't have guns.
You know, people who kill women get like harsher sentences, and I feel like maybe would you agree that that kind of social role of like a woman dying is like, you know, like worse than a man dying is like kind of like,
well, I think it wasn't so much as it was worse as it was that women back then were considered property and without autonomy. Men killing one another, well, it was killing women was like killing children, kind of. It wasn't, the reason they did that wasn't because they put women on a pedestal. It's not because they thought more of women. It's because women were the infantile possessions they worked to protect. And for that reason, there was a dishonor or a social incongruity associated with going after them relative to going after one another. Now, this varies massively, like society to society, but the idea that like killing a woman is more heinous and thus deserves a higher sentence makes more sense 200 years ago. Because 200 years ago, women lacked all of the economic and social autonomy necessary to be agents in and of themselves, or at least reliably so. So when actions of harm were taken against them, it was much, much, much more likely that this was done in an imbalanced way, you know? Than today, where women and men both have equal legal rights. So a woman can kill a guy can kill a lady. We all have guns. Yeah, you know. Yeah, but like so many of these issues fundamentally like boil down to combating misogyny. That's the practical effect of this. Day to day, when I'm like encountering people and encountering arguments and encountering systems which fuck over men and women in like disproportionate ways, it's usually misogyny. People don't go out of their way to make society worse for men, but people absolutely do for women. There is a massive social movement right now to reestablish traditional gender roles, which in practice just means women stay at home and have fewer rights. The abortion debate right now is largely centered around women's bodily autonomy, and the shit that Republican male senators say about uteruses and how they function, the most powerful people in our country, belies an astonishing, I would say, contempt towards the autonomy of women. People don't go after men in that way. So, from my perspective, the best way to address these problems is usually to fight back against people who are targeting women, even if the consequences of that end up hurting men more.
We specifically have initiatives like to
Well,
fund to like specifically say like deal with violence against women, even though in most like pretty much every subcategory other than sexual violence, men tend to be the primary victims. And
well,
even in domestic violence, women tend to actually perpetrate it more.
no, okay, wait, hold on. We're okay, fuck. So much of this is getting down to studies. Okay, I know that's not the case. So I know the exact study that you're referring to, but that study didn't differentiate between different severities of abuse nor who initiated it. So this was like, that study was like, in the past 6 years, have you had X happen to you? But the issue was that there was no differentiation between whether or not you were doing or having something done to you reciprocally, or if you were initiating it. When studies
Oh no,
began
no, I'm
to
not
account for the
that.
severity of the violence and the initiation, women were overwhelmingly the victims both of more violence and of more severe violence domestically.
Like this type of study specifically is worse than a systematic review. Like not just a meta-analysis, forget meta-analysis, just a systematic
Wait,
review.
are
Is
you
that
Greg
it doesn't
Moosey in
like
chat?
what?
Are you Greg Moosey in chat? Because you're Greg Moose in
Yeah,
Discord. Are these
yeah.
are these your logs? Holocaust didn't happen, but they
No,
deserved
no,
it.
no, no, that was no. No, I wasn't saying that. What I was saying specifically that like some guy said something stupid, so I said so like I repeated what he said. No, I'm not a Holocaust denier. Like what I'm saying is like it was obviously a joke. I said like Holocaust didn't happen, but like Jews deserved it. Is like the same kind of flawed logic that one of your guests made or
All
something.
right. Okay.
Like
No,
I don't.
I'm just clarifing. There are
I
people
didn't
posting
have
in chat.
Holocaust support.
Making
As someone
sure.
who's like specifically like who has family that were victims of a genocide themselves,
Hey,
I
that's cool.
definitely
I'm a
wouldn't.
victim of out of context clipping too, so that's okay. Um. Okay. Anyway, wait. I'm sorry. We're so out of the fucking weeds right now. What are we even looking at? We were talking about whether or not people in society target men or target women. Okay. What is? How is this even related to that?
No. What I was okay. So I can kind of go through. So basically, what we were talking about is like, do governments prioritize men or women? I was saying like we have like specifically like laws about like violence against women. We have a Violence Against Women Act, but we don't have anything comparable towards men. Even though in most subcategories of violence, men are overwhelmingly more likely to be the victims
Yeah,
of
but
violent
wait,
crime.
the Violence Against Women Act was passed during a time where there was shockingly little done about like intimate partner violence done against women. Like for a
But
while, date rape, sorry, not date rape, raping your wife wasn't even a crime in the United States. Like there were
I think that
specific ways, yeah, in which women
was,
were getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, so like specifically about that, I think that was in the 70s when like that was legal, and that like the Violence Against Women Act was specifically like done in 19 was actually signed in 1994. As far as date rape goes, I'm not really sure like or sorry, marriage rape. Specifically with regards to that, like I don't know if that like that doesn't like really prove misogyny as much. Like it would prove like it could just as equally prove misandry because like yeah,
No, wait, hold
hold on,
on, wait,
wait, let
okay.
me finish. No, you were saying like husbands like can rape their wives. It was the same reverse. A wife could like technically rape the husband.
Okay,
Like
wait, hold on. Wait, okay, so let's step out of like the internet debate bro zone for a second. In a system where there are no legal recourses for raping the person you're married to, who do you think that is overwhelmingly going to end up hurting more?
say that again.
In a system where it's not legal to rape the person you're married to, who do you overwhelmingly think that's going to hurt more?
Like I don't know why you think it specifically would hurt women more. Like unless you think there's like something inherent about that.
It's not a
Like
matter of it being inherent. It's just, yeah, that absolutely and obviously hurts women more. Women are the main victims of rape and sexual assault.
well, like I mean, if you want to go through this, there's like CDC data which suggests that like made as far as when you include made to penetrate, there's actually equivalent rates of male like female to male rape as there's male to female rape. Like there was in 2010, 2011, and 2012, they conducted a study on like made to penetrate versus forcibly penetrated rather, and it found that each time like men were at least equally as likely to be forced to penetrate, if not more.
I would
Like a
be
specific
I would eat all of the clothing that I own in my house if instances where men and women raped one another were equivalent outside of prisons. This is absolutely not the case. Something like
outside.
one in 4 women in America have been sexually assaulted. The idea that these numbers are comparable. This is one of the things that concerns me. I worry that your goal here might be more about proving that men have it as bad than addressing the underlying issues. Because this is the argument that I get into like men's rights advocates as well. For me to say, like when I argued earlier that being able to rape your partner disproportionately harms women, and you said like, I don't know why it would, unless you think there's something intrinsic there. That to me suggests that you might have motivated reasoning going into this, because that is a pretty interesting retort.
Look, I didn't really understand your point at first. Now I kind of do understand it better. Like, I guess you could say like my internal motivation is that, like, I mean, that's like specifically my concerns with the academic feminist movement lay within the descriptive claim. But like, as far as like, I also wanted to address what you said about like 1 in 4 women being raped. That's specifically like lifetime stats. Like what I'm specifically talking about is in the past 12 months. In the past 12 months, I would say like when you do surveys on the past 12 months, that's typically more accurate than like just doing a whole lifetime survey, because oftentimes your like recounting events that happen in your lifetime tend to be a lot more blurred than in the past 12 months. Like, so when you do in the past 12 months, it's equivalent. Like there was another survey done in 2015, which found that women are more likely to be raped than like men to be forced to penetrate. It doesn't matter. It varies by like when the CDC does the survey.
I don't think it does, because I'm looking at CDC data right now, and I don't think that's the case.
Should I send you the thing?
Sure. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article which cites data on this. Yeah. So 1 in 71 men have been raped or suffered an attempt within their lifetime, according to a CDC study, whereas the same number.
Huh? Yeah, but that's the problem. Like lifetime is not an accurate estimate. It's better to just do 12 months. Like as I said, accounts of like your recounting events over the course of a lifetime is a lot more blurred. Your like ability to recall what happened in a situation is a lot more blurred throughout your lifetime.
Wait, hold on. So the ratio here is 1 in 71 to 1 in 5. You're saying that a differential of 14 times can be explained by women having bad memories?
Okay, well, number one, I don't know if like that specific study like accounted for force to penetrate. Number one, and number two,
it's from the CDC.
I just sent you the link. I can send you the other one too. Like, again, even if it doesn't make sense, it's the data that like the CDC collected. So,
but I'm looking at the data.
Was it in the past 12 months, and was it specifically?
Wait, hold on. Why is the past 12 months more of an indicator than lifetime? Do you have any medical or scientific reason to dismiss well-corroborated data on lifetime rape statistics based on the idea that they wouldn't be able to remember it happening to them?
Well, I just gave my reasoning. I just said like being like 12 months is again just a more accurate indicator because you remember events much more.
I think you think 12 months is a more accurate indicator because you found one piece of data that agrees with the beliefs that you want to hold.
No. Again, 12 months. Just like this is just like accepted by social.
This overwhelming mass of data like asserts my position, but you're very invested in the very specific range of data that might support your position. Like that, you're not. This is post hoc reasoning, right?
Vaush. Just give me a second. Let me finish what I was about to say. This is just a general consensus amongst social scientists or whatever field that specifically deals with this.
I have a sociology degree.
12 months is more indicative of is a better indication than a lifetime. Like I would arguably say like 2 years might be the best estimate. Like there haven't been any surveys on this.
People don't forget if they've been raped.
2 years. Say that again?
People don't forget if they've been raped. I mean,
well, I'm just saying specifically the details of the rape.
But we're not talking about the details. We're just talking about if it's happened.
Well, like if you like forcefully penetrated versus forced to penetrate, like that's a detail. And like oftentimes you do forget, like if you forget the details of what happened, then you can't accurately say that
The
what
stat
happened.
is raped or attempted rape. These memories will not meaningfully wither with time.
Did it include, like, first of all, again, like, did it include forced to penetrate? And second of all, they can wither away, like,
Do you have
very
any
easily.
evidence of that, or are you just assuming it?
Like, I mean, it's
Wait,
just common
do you have
sense.
wait, hold on, because I'm reading the same
I can
data
give
as you.
data. I can give like
You can give
there's like
data that we should ignore lifetime rape statistics because they'll forget.
I can give evidence that like there have been studies done on this which found that like over the course of a long period of time you tend to forget the vast majority the vast majority of details.
No, we're not looking for details, just whether or not you've been raped.
Well, whether or not you've been raped actually depends on your knowledge of the details. Like you might, like, if you forget what happened in the details, you can like
Do you think
you
a
would not know.
person like gets raped and then like 5 years pass and they're like, wait, hold on, was I drunk or not? I don't know. And then they just
No, that's not.
forget?
No. Like you can I would say quite easily forget like what specifically happened and therefore whether or not it was rape. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Shoot.
Okay, hold on. I don't know.
Hold on. Wait. I was banned from your server because rape apologist Mugtao debated Vaush on stream.
Wait, wait,
Holocaust.
mods, stop. Quit the shit, okay? Stop antagonizing. Unban.
Yeah. What the fuck? Like I never said that. I'm like literally neither of those.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a goddamn video game stream. Okay, lifetime and 12-month prevalence of sexual violence. So if we take a look at lifetime, weighted percentage for women is 18.3%. Rate for men is 1.4%. Okay.
Okay, so go to 12 months now.
Yeah, okay. So well, hold on.
Well, let's see.
For other sexual violence, it's still double for women than for men. And then if we specifically take a look at the 12-month range,
it says here approximately 1 in 20 women and men experience sexual violence victimization other than rape by any perpetrator in the 12. This is not what I want. An estimated 1 in 17 women and 1 in 20 men experience rape, physical violence, and are stalking by an intimate partner in the 12 months prior to taking the survey. And yeah, but that's not specifically.
Yeah, so for the 12-month section right here, so why is there no section right here for rape for men in the past 12 months? If I'm reading this correctly, it's because they couldn't even find enough data to get a statistically significant sample of men who were raped in the past 12 months.
Where did it say that?
There's a gap in the data right here.
So 9,086 women and 7,421 men were.
Well, we have to look at the percentages. Yeah, but for the rape section, women have their proportional representation here, 1.1% for rape, and then you have the numbers, and then right here for men, they just have asterisks. This data could be here.
Which page are you on? Are you on like the top? Are you on
table
the first
2.2 on page 19? The lifetime and 12-month prevalence of sexual violence by men and by women.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, look. Estimate is not reported. Relative standard error greater than 30% or cell size less than 20. The data on men being raped in the past 12 months is so insubstantial that they couldn't even provide it without it being statistically insignificant. Even if we exclusively count that made to penetrate stat against the rape experienced by women, we're still looking at 1/4 of the rate that women experience it. We're already only looking at the 12-month thing, and if we look at lifetime, we find that there's some massive disparity between men and women.
Let's see. Yeah, lifetime, yeah. I'm specifically talking about 12 months. It's 1.27.
Why do I care about 12 months more? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah, to be honest, I would like to talk about this. I said before this debate that we shouldn't get into the rape stats because it's kind of
it seems you're just the specificity with which you're very selectively curtailing your data makes it seem like you're kind of downplaying the experiences of women.
No, I'm not at all. I feel like specifically historically, there's not a single doubt that that sexual violence is specifically something that was directed against women. Like I would say, like, just in general, in other subtypes of violence, men tend to be the victims more often. Like,
Okay,
there's
but
a little
wait,
bit
but
of,
I wouldn't disagree
like I
with
said,
that. But you
all I was pointing
repeatedly
out that is
defended
like,
the idea that this is an equal thing between men and women, to the point where I talked about marital rape, and you were like, "Oh yeah, well that affects men too." Like, that's some
all
super
I,
motivated reasoning that you came in here with.
no, all I was saying, listen, this is all I was saying throughout this thing was that I was just simply pointing out that like rape isn't as one-sided as it is commonly shown. Like even if it's 1.27 million versus like 1.267 million, as it said for the 12-month range, if you include like attempted rape and all that stuff. Specifically, I'm just saying like it's not as one-sided as it's
Yeah,
commonly
but
set out.
I've never made the argument that it's entirely one-sided. But you took the stand that it was like basically equal.
Well, basically equal. Like I'm just saying, it's not like a just. I wouldn't just. I'm just saying it's not like just a gendered crime, so to speak. I would say I would say it's like kind of like a combat. Like it's just
It is
I'm
absolutely
not
a
articulating this very well. I'm
disproportionate.
just saying that like it's like I would say like based on some data that we have right now, it's equal, or at least like almost
Yeah, if
equal.
you
That's all I'm saying.
ignore like all the data and hyperfixate on one specific category for men over the past 12 months against one category for women. It's
Because
like,
I
what?
think
Wait. You're saying, sorry, you're saying mutually exclusive things, okay? So you keep jumping back and forth between it's equal and I'm not saying it's equal. I'm just saying that men experience it more than a lot of people give it credit for. The latter point is completely defensible. I'll defend it any day. Men absolutely get raped, men get sexually assaulted, and when they do, nobody takes it seriously, because if a man rapes another man in prison, it's a joke, and if a woman rapes a man, the man gets made fun of for being emasculated because men are expected to always be wanting to have sex. I'll defend that point any day. But
I'm
you
just
did,
saying
but
that
that's not what you said.
I'm just saying that by certain data that we have, it's equal in proportion. I'm not saying it is. That's like just one data point. There's
It's just funny
thousands of
that
studies.
earlier you disregarded a
Hold on.
meta-analysis I
Please.
provided you because they might be cherry-picking data, when afterwards you engaged in it into like the most aggressive
Because this
degree.
was, I want to come out of this like, no, I don't want to come out. I don't want this like, I don't want to come out of this discussion just like on a hostile understanding. Let's try and find common ground here, because I feel like now we're just getting into stupid semantics and stuff.
Like,
right?
oh wait, I can be charitable, okay? Look, I remember my early college days, okay? When I learned that men also got sexually assaulted and domestically abused, and that very few people talked about it because it wasn't as clean as the narrative that men are always the perpetrators and women are always the victims, I was incredibly um uh aggressive in explaining this to other people, and I was often very quick to accuse them of bias against men if they were not as willing to acknowledge the information that I had as I would like them to
Don't
be.
get me wrong. I was like that as well. I was like that as well. Back when I was back in my gender essentialist
Yeah,
days, I
yeah.
kind
Well,
of
I'm
was like
just
that.
saying that like I like that bias moved me a little bit. And I feel I worry that you might be engaging in a little bit of motivated reasoning when it comes to your approach to these issues.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'm not like doing a systematic review. I'm just saying, like specifically, I'm just saying, as I was saying, like it's not a one-sided issue. I was saying some surveys have found that this is not even the case, but not that like it's the only one and be all. By lifetime data, you're absolutely right. Women are more likely to be raped. But like if you look at it in a specific category, that's not the case. Like this whole thing was just like, and you accept this, right? It's not one-sided. We can't just like ignore like we can't
Yeah,
just
but
ignore
I've
victims.
never argued that it was one-sided. I don't think any
Right,
point
that's what
in
I'm
this
saying. That's
conversation
what I just said.
came off that
Right,
way.
that's what I just said, which is why I feel like this is kind of becoming counterproductive now. I feel like I feel like I guess like I didn't articulate my point very well. It was just that like some data has found that this is equal, other data has found that it's not. That was my only point. Like,
Let's
I,
let's
and a
agree.
little bit of a rabbit.
Let's agree on the point that rape is bad.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, we can hit that one. And you know what? You know what? Okay,
People who
You know
rape
what?
are
I'll throw you a bone, because there is a portion of this CDC study that I don't like. Okay, I'm gonna hit you with it. Okay, and I know you'll agree with me. Let me scroll back down to the point that I was looking at. Okay.
Let me go on your stream, actually, like view it.
If you are a dude and you got a dick, well, if you're a woman, you have a dick, obviously. If you have a penis, okay, and you are made to penetrate somebody when you do not want to penetrate that person, that is rape, okay? The fact that made to penetrate is included in the other sexual violence tab and not in the rape tab is evidence of, if we want to use the word misandry, then yeah, I'll defend that, sure. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like,
being made to penetrate is the literal anatomical analog to being penetrated unwillfully. And I guess if a person really wanted to, they could bust out the abacus and do fucking ethics calculations on the relative harm of any of these like various things. But that ethics calculation shit, I think, is detrimental to the whole, because all this shit is bad. But any reasonable person should be able to agree that made to penetrate would fit in the rape category, not the other.
Yeah, and I will give feminists credit. Listen, I will give feminists credit on this one, because until 2013, the FBI didn't like classify made to penetrate as rape. They just only said like rape is only something that could be done by someone who's assigned male at birth, right? Like that was the position until 2013, and feminists actually fought to get rid of that. So like I will give them the nod there. But specifically,
approximately 1 in 21 men reported to have been made to penetrate somebody else in their lifetimes. Too few women reported being made to penetrate somebody else to produce a reliable estimate. Probably not that many trans women with penises or women just sitting there with strap-ons made to penetrate other people, but maybe that data will change in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll start to get
sorry, my internet cut off like a couple seconds ago. Were you saying something?
I was making a grim joke that had no relevance to the conversation. I have to read donos before I head off. I love you, buddy. I hope you know that. Okay. I officially keep you under my wing in the chat. Okay. I actually don't have any control over the Discord, really.
Like, yeah, listen, I do want to come out of this with something, because like I watch your content a lot. It's very entertaining. I love you too, I guess.
Okay, be well.
No.
Remember, it's whoa! I thought we were fighting misandry.
Kidding.
All right. Take care. Okay.
Yeah, take care.
All right, be well. Bye. All right, I know a lot of people here are going to be super condemnatory towards that guy, and I think that guy said some incredibly stupid shit. However, I'm having flashbacks to a point in my life where I was desperate to argue that men were victimized by society too, and I'm remembering all the stupid shit that I said, and now I'm here, so I just, yeah. But that's my opinion. People are going to disagree. Okay. Right. I remember I said some, you see yourself in him. I see myself in every young man who posts cringe at some point in their life. I do. To various extents. Well, not every type of cringe. Sometimes people post cringe. I don't relate to it. I don't see myself in that, you know, sometimes, but not this time. I remember having some periods in my life where I died on some dumb hills. Your mom